A couple of days ago, India's Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau published preliminary findings. There are at least 2 to 3 very notable findings captured in this report, and top on that list is the whole question surrounding the fuel cutoff switches, or simply the fuel control switches responsible for controlling the flow of fuel from the tanks to the twin General Electric engines fitted on this particular 787-8 Dreamliner. As per the report, the fuel switches were actually moved from the run position to the cutoff position. So when the switches were moved and the flow of fuel to the engines cut off, the engines flamed out, and this triggered the aircraft to lose thrust. Yet this is the critical phase of a flight where the aircraft requires maximum thrust to be able to climb out in order to achieve the required cruising levels. The second most notable finding in this report is the exchange between the two pilots. One of the pilots is heard asking the other why he cut off, and then the other pilot is heard responding that he did not. We know that the co-pilot was the pilot flying, while the pilot in command was the pilot monitoring the instrumentation. Moments later, there were attempts to relight the engines by switching the fuel controls back to the run mode in an effort to recover thrusts and climb out normally. But given the very difficult circumstances and conditions, including very low altitude, below 700 feet, lost thrust, there was no substantive corrective procedure that could be undertaken at that particular point. So the only option that the pilots had was to trigger the Mayday call. The aircraft sadly crashed just outside the perimeter wall of the airport. Following these preliminary findings, India's civil aviation regulator directed all airlines to undertake an inspection of the locking feature on their Boeing aircrafts in their fleet. They have reported to have found no defect on their 787s. The FAA and Boeing have assured the operators of the 787 variants that the fuel switches have no defect and that there is no cause for alarm. The investigation into this accident advances to the next level. We hope in the next few months we'll be able to get a better picture of the events that contributed or triggered this accident. We hope that the final report will manage to clarify the whole issue around the fuel cutoff switches, coupled with the conversation between the two pilots that was captured by the flight deck voice recorder, which has created a lot of speculation with regards to whether this was